Hi, Girly here. I'm working on a little project. I thought I'd do a quick little video, and I really want this to be quick. Making some eggs that you could either use for primitive decorating in your home or for Easter if you'd like to do that. But I was thinking about eggs because Easter is just around the corner, and I was searching on Pinterest for some new ideas. And I saw these patchwork quilt type of little eggs that were adorable, and I'm not a sewer, and I thought, well, that's just beyond me. I couldn't do that, but I thought perhaps I could fashion that idea around things that I can do. And so I had a lot of paper mache eggs and some of those plastic Easter eggs that the kids, hide, that you stuff things in. And I think I bought another little kit that had some, they're not wooden, but they're a harder surface than paper mache eggs. And I thought, you know what? I could cover those up with strips or pieces of fabric. I have a couple of friends at the co op who do some things with material, and they save me their scraps. And in particular, Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. She has been very generous to me and given me some of her scraps, and I just love it. It's wonderful to get these little nuggets of gold that I can use in projects. And so this is my version of a Pinterest project, and I have no idea who that person was. But I just take a paper mache egg like this. This is just, I guess, a medium size, and I've covered it with fabric and then decorated the front. So here's just two large eggs that I've finished up. And I think they turned out cute. And then I did some mini ones. I'll just put these here. And I think they would look cute in a nest or attached to a little Easter gift. So here are just some of the little, these are little tiny mini ones. I didn't cover the whole egg on the minis, just did the front. And so I'm just going to quickly show you how I did these. Here's one with just a little white flower on it. I'm not sure how that, I see my focus is going crazy again. So there's not a whole lot to these, but they are fun to do, and they would decorate your Easter nest, or if you have a buffet, or like I said, add to a little gift basket that you're going to give to somebody during the Easter holiday. So this one here, I have them in a couple of different stages. This one here, I just used the same fabric and covered it. This one is like the others I've shown you. I've done different little patches of material, but the colors kind of coordinate. And then I did a couple like the smaller ones where I'm just putting a patch of material of sorts on the front. And that's, not too bad with a paper mache because they kind of look cool themselves. But if you have those little plastic eggs, let me grab one of those. I didn't grab the plastic egg. Let's see. And of course, these come in all sizes too, but this is a smaller size. Now you can glue these together first. I don't remember doing that because these eggs were stored in a box. So this is a little plastic Easter egg that just, unsnaps and you can fill a little goodie in there. Of course, there's no goodie inside this one. I just snapped it together and started putting my material on. This one's still not quite dry. So I've been doing them in stages. And this is one of those other eggs. These came in a really cool little egg crate. And the paint, I saw it on a clearance rack somewhere, I'm sure. The paint is in just a little bag, and I think you put the egg in there and the kids can squish the eggs around and decorate the eggs. It's supposed to be like a no mess egg decorator. But I'm not sure. I think these are just some kind of cardboard. So this one is also in process. I just started ripping the material. And a lot of this material that I have, my little bits and pieces from my friend Lorraine, I think these were off of like a bedspread. I pulled it off the batting and I've just torn little pieces. The smaller the piece, the easier it is to get around your egg and to shape it a little bit. So this one is dry, and this one, there's a couple here I can go ahead and decorate, but then I wanted to show you what I've been doing. So let me take, this color will work. Let me take this egg. Now I'm just using Golden Matte Medium, and I keep my Golden Matte Medium in an empty dish soap dispenser. And I would encourage you to do something like this, or pour a little bit out of your main jar of Golden Matte Medium, because I find that if you dip your brush into it, not only does the air get to it and the skin can form, then you get lumps, it can get contaminated and stinky. I just think it makes better sense to put some out on a palette, paper plate, a piece of tin foil, all these little plastic containers that I get supplies in. Now this was a little, I believe this was a little snack tray that had some cheese and nuts in it. I just washed it out, and then I use it to put a little paint in, or I use it to put my Golden Matte Medium in. And that way I'm not contaminating my main supply of golden. And I just put out a little at a time. I can always replenish. And then I have a couple of brushes that I use exclusively for Golden Matte Medium or Mod Podge. Now I'm not using the Mod Podge because I like Mod Podge for a lot of different things, but not for something like this, because I don't find that it dries very well for me. And I am in a co-op, and I do sell my things, and I do have some things on my Etsy shop, which is Time to Be Creative, but I don't want these to stick to anything else. And if they don't dry really well, they're going to stick to each other. They're going to stick to the grass in the Easter nest, yada, yada, yada. So I'm using the Golden Matte Medium because it dries very well for me. So all I'm going to do is I just take my little egg, and I have my little scraps of material. Now you can use any color material. You could really use scrapbook paper, but I'm using these little scraps of material, and I just take a little bit of my matte medium, and I pick out a little piece of cloth that I think is going to work in a certain spot. I'm really not mapping these out or giving a lot of thought to it. Sometimes I'll rip the piece a little smaller than I have it. See, like this piece is really large, and the material that I have is so old it really kind of tears very easily. Sometimes I have to start it with a little pair of scissors and then just give it a little tear. But it can get messy on your fingers. And then if you're up at the tip of the egg like this, and you don't want that to be real bumpy, I just take my scissors and just do a little snip. And then I just glue that down in 2 little strips. And then this will have to sit for several hours so that that new fresh glue can dry. But this is all I'm doing. And they're turning out pretty cute. See, now here is another. Now you could do all muslin. I've also done these where I've taken tea bags and just used the brewed tea bags and ripped those apart and glued on. Now they do get a little dark, and I do stamp on those. Like this here, I stamped on a piece of muslin, those Easter eggs. I have an Easter egg stamp. But sometimes I'll stamp like that on a piece of the tea bag, right? And you have to make sure that if you're going to do something like this, make sure you use an archival stamping ink, like your StazOn or your archival brand by Ranger, because then if you put any matte medium over top or do anything else to it, that involves a liquid, it's not going to move on you. Otherwise, if you use, say, the Tim Holtz ink, which I absolutely love, that will move on you. So you just have to be careful and be aware of those types of things. So I'm just going to put another little bit of glue here and add another piece of material. And then, like I said, I think I said it. So now I'll just sit this aside and let this part dry so then I can hold the top and finish the bottom. And I'm not sure with this one what well, let me just add. This one I really could just decorate the front, and I think, well, I'll show you with another egg what I'm thinking about this one. But again, I'm just brushing on my golden matte medium. Now, I'm not worried about my strings at this point. Some of the strings I left on, and then once it dried, I clipped them back however I like them. And I like it real frayed, so I'm not worried about my frayed edges. I kind of like those to be frayed. Now, see, I think this piece is a little too large for the size of my egg, so I'm just going to tear it. Now, most likely you will not be able to tear a little tiny piece like this, but this material is so old it kind of just gives way. So you may just have to snip it with a pair of scissors. And then I just plop it wherever I want. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of these to do. But that's basically it, not rocket science, okay? I mean, really, if you wanted to do this with your children, you could really do it with the kids. Although this is not a for kids channel. And then make sure you put your brush back in some water when you're not using it. So then what I have here in my little basket are some goodies. I have some lace and some little tags and some little buttons. I've got small flowers. So I've got some things here that I can use. So on this one, I have my hot glue gun plugged in. This one, I think I'm going to put a little bit of lace. And I think I want this to be the front. So I always put my opening in the front because I know I'm going to put something on top. Like a flower or another piece of material, tea bag. And see if I can find a little pair of scissors that's going to cut this nicely. So then I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue underneath my lace here. Now you could use ribbon. I didn't get any ribbon out for this little video. And I love to use strips of muslin to tie. And I'm not sure I have any of that right here. Let me see. I've got stuff on my back table. I've got stuff everywhere. I'm a very messy crafter. This might work. This is a little piece of, it looked like a bib or some kind of a little shirt. So I'm just going to cut this. And I do like my raggedy edges. So I'm just making a little snip and I'm going to tear that. And I'm going to see if I can just tie a little bow. This may be a bit too short. You know, it never fails. As soon as I start to record, my phone rings.
Call from Brian.
And I think that's just a little too short for me to do this. Maybe if I just see what I have right here. I rolled that up a little bit to kind of make it a little more narrow. My dogs don't like it when the phone rings, but it's just when certain people call. We don't know what the difference is. But I'm sure you hear them moaning and groaning in the background. I really love using all this old material. I think I'm getting a reputation that people just give me their old throwaway stuff, but I love it. All right, so this bow's a little chubby, but that's okay. We'll see how it looks. May not work. Oh, that looks kind of cute, right? Oh my, yeah, I think that looks cute, but I think I need a little more glue here to hold this down. I'm going to pop a little more glue, and then I'm going to put my little bow on. Now, if you have any buttons or little flowers that you can add to this, but I have these little tags that I made for another project, and I just stamped the word love on them, and it has a little rusty pin, so that'll work for Easter. And I'm going to see if I can get this pin through my knot, because sometimes these rusty pins don't go through material very easily. Yeah, that one's not wanting to go through. Oh, there it goes. Woohoo! You could put a little rusty bell, a little star. You could use a cutout. I was thinking about cutting out some little butterflies, but I didn't do that before I started my video. Out of some paper in your paper stash. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to clear up for me. There. Oh, I think I just missed it. Oh, come on. I keep turning my autofocus off, but it seems to keep coming back on. There we go. Oh, I just keep missing it. Oh, goodness. Well, isn't that just a pain in the rear, huh? I'm hoping you can see that well enough. But I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm doing here. So I just add that to my... Now this one here, because I'm not going to do the back of this with material, I just want to see how this looks. I've got my little blending tool here, and I've got some archival ink, and this is sepia. Normally I would use my Tim Holtz either gathered twig or what's the other one? Oh, vintage photo. Oh, I love vintage photo. You probably heard me say that about 1,000 times. But I'm just knocking that back a little bit, adding a little something to it, so it looks a little more crusty and vintagey, if that's a word. Oh, goodness. Okay. Now this one, I think I'm going to do... I have this lace here, which is just a row of little flowers. So I'm going to snip. On the little ones, I used one, but the 3 looks nice. I like to do things in odd numbers. Somewhere along my crafting career, I heard that odd numbers make something look better, and I believe it. So I generally go with an odd number. So I'm just going to put some glue here, get this started. Right there, put that guy in the middle. And then I'm going to glue down these other fellas, just sneak in behind them and put a little glue. Now you can use white glue for this. That's just for the convenience of doing the video. Hot glue works really good. And then I think I'm going to add a little, let's let's see, maybe a little heart. So I have these little tiny buttons that I've, whoops, that was really full, collected over the years. And I'm going to grab one of these out. Now, generally speaking, I do not like, oh, that little flower's cute. I do not like to put a button on any of my projects unless I put thread through. Well, I don't know what I did there, guys, but goodness, that's not good. I'll set that aside. I have little buttons everywhere. I like to put thread through the little holes in the buttons, but these are so small. I don't really have any really small twine here next to me. I tried a couple of things I had earlier, and I just had a heck of a time getting it through. So I'm just going to glue this little heart down, and I'm going to use my white glue for this. Now, of course, that'll take a little longer to dry, but it gives me a little wiggle time to get my heart where I want it. So I was trying to do it with the hot glue earlier when I was practicing, and I ended up with my hot glue drying because I couldn't flip my button around quick enough. Now I'm hoping you can see that. Maybe it's just me. Leave me a comment. But I think they're darling. Now here's another little guy. And let me see. Maybe what I'll do with him is I will grab some twine. Over here. And if you have any crystals or little gems or jewels, you know how they come on these little flat acetate sheets of paper? You can add those for a little sparkle. You certainly could put a little bling, bling, bling. Now I was thinking about maybe wrapping this around my egg, but maybe I'll just do a little bow. Maybe I'll do one of my little double bows. Let's see how this looks. Now, if you Google double bow, how do I tie a double bow? You'll get a video that shows you how to do this. Because sometimes some of your thinner ribbon is just not quite enough and you need it to be a little more. So this little double bow trick is nice. I'm thinking that might be a little too large for that little guy, but see, I have this purple one here. Now I kind of like that, but you can't really see the bow because it blends in with the purple. So let's get a little piece of lace and see how it looks. Now I want this to be only a half an hour. So we're just about at a half hour mark. But I think you're definitely getting the idea of how to make some really cute, primitive, vintage looking eggs for either your home decor or your Easter baskets. That's probably a little too long, but I'm going to bring this down a little bit, I think, to the fuller part of the egg. I could have crisscrossed it, I guess, if I made it a little longer. That might have looked nice too. But when you're not on a time frame and you're just sitting in your craft room messing around, you know, you can fiddle with all this and come up with your own style. And you can use up little scraps of whatever you might have sitting in your craft room. Of course, maybe not everybody saves as much stuff as I do, but gosh, I just love to save all these little bits and bobs. So now I'm going to add my little double bow. And that's all I think I'm going to do on that one. How cute is he? You could put a little button. You could put a little flower. I don't have any little purple flowers. I've got some. Oh, I've got this purple flower. I wonder if this is too large. Let's see. What do you think? I don't know. I might have to think on this one. I kind of like just the plain, although that looks kind of cute. Maybe we'll do that one. I'm just going to snip this wire off the back. I've got all my tools, not all of them, but a lot of my tools, like my little wire cutters. I have a metal cabinet here with my metal shelves, and I've got little magnets that sit right there and hold all this stuff for me. So I'm not looking on my desk for it constantly. And it's just right there. All my scissors are clipped there. Well, within reason. Not my huge scissors. But my little tools. Now I want to make sure I get this on. So it looks good. I'm just kind of squishing it. Did you squish it? All right, so while I put this flower on, I'm going to say goodbye. This quick little extravaganza video. I hope you find it interesting and helpful. If you think it's a great idea and you think these little eggs look good, leave me a comment. I would appreciate that. A thumbs up is good too. Even a thumbs down. That's my project for today. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.